A very bright and blessed morning to all. Myself, Claudia Nath, will be the moderator for today's webinar session on law relating to trademarks in India. I thank all the attendees who have taken the time out and logged in to be a part of this webinar. Today, we're going to get to the bottom to enhance our understanding on the trademark laws in India. Now for some general instructions, ensure that your video and audios are muted. Please don't be disappointed if there is an internet or network issue because the session is going to be recorded and we will make it available using our Soundarya Institution's YouTube channel. The feedback link will be provided towards the end of the session in the chat box. You are to quickly fill it in to ensure that you receive your e-certificates via email. Without wasting much of time, let me now introduce a resource person for today's session, Dr. Karyana KS. He is presently working as an assistant professor of law in Saraswati Law College, Chitradurga. Sir completed his LLB degree in the year 2005 and from Mysore University completed his master's in 2008. In the year 2010, Sir cleared UGC JRF exam, and in 2019, he obtained his PhD from Karnataka State Open University. He has published many articles and has been a part of many national and international seminars and is one of the editorial member of International Journal of Legal Research and Studies. Sir's area of specialization includes IPR, administrative law, contract law, and professional ethics. Having said all this, we will have a 40-minute session followed by a Q&A session. Participants are requested to send in the questions in the chat box. Time is ticking away. Over to Dr. Karyana KS. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, very much.
Well, madam.
You are audible, sir. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing me. First of all, I would like to express my thanks to the organizers of this webinar for inviting me to be a resource person of this webinar. And also I express my special thanks to Dr. Jayashree Madam, Principal of Soundarya Law College, for inviting me to this webinar. The topic on which I am going to speak today is that law relating to trademark in India. Before we discuss or we know what is the trademark, what is the law relating to trademark in India, let us understand what is property and what is intellectual property. See, there is a difference between property and intellectual property. Before knowing what is a trademark and law relating to trademark, we have to understand the concept of property. See, the concept of property occupies an important place in human life because it is impossible to live without a property. The term property is derived from Latin term, that is propertate, which means a thing owned. That means property means a thing owned or a thing which is having commercial value is considered as property, or rights, interest is called as property. Let me give you a definition of property. See, property can be defined in two ways. Number one, in widest sense. Number two, in narrow sense. In widest sense, property means, and it includes all legal rights of a person. See, not only proprietary rights of a person, it includes all legal rights of a person according to widest sense. According to, let me define in narrow sense, the property includes the proprietary rights of a person and not personal rights. See, proprietary rights means, what are the proprietary rights? See, proprietary rights constitute is estate and property. They are the proprietary rights. See, there is a two distinguishing way of defining the term property. So what I would like to say that property means a thing which is having commercial value or rights, interest, can be called as a property. You all know what is property. I think you have all studied in a TP, Transfer of Property Act. Then let me classify the term property. That means kinds of property. See, property can be classified into two ways. Number one, corporeal property. Number two, incorporeal property. See, keep in mind, I am speaking about the normal property. I am not speaking about intellectual property rights or intellectual property. See, the property can be classified into two ways or two kinds. That is, one is corporeal property and second one is incorporeal property. What is corporeal property? See, corporeal property is the right of ownership in material things. It is visible and tangible, and it can be pursued by sense. It can be touched, it can be seen. So that's why this property is called as a corporeal property. For example, house, land, car, bike. See, they are all considered as a corporeal property. See, this corporeal property can also be divided into, further can be divided into two groups. Number one, movable property. Number two, immovable property. Movable property means property which can be moved from one place to another is movable property, and immovable property means like which cannot be moved from one place to another, like lands, buildings. See, these are all the corporeal property. There is another type of property, incorporeal property. See, this introduction is essential to understand what is intellectual property. That's why I'm telling you what is property. See, second kind of property is that incorporeal property. Incorporeal property is called as intangible property, invisible property, and which cannot be pursued by senses. That's why it is called as incorporeal property. One is corporeal property, second one is incorporeal property. See, incorporeal property can be divided into further two groups. Number one, jura in re aliena, that means encumbrances, whether over material or immaterial things. For example, lease, mortgage, servitudes. See, these rights are also considered as property. They are called as jura in re aliena. They are incorporeal property. The second type of incorporeal property is that jura in propria, which means rights over material things. That is, for example, patents, copyrights, trademark. That means intellectual property rights are considered as incorporeal property, one kind of incorporeal property. Like other movable and immovable property are like corporeal property. Intellectual property right can also be transferred from one person to another person. That's why intellectual property is considered as property. So we understood what is property. Now let us understand what is intellectual property then. See, you all know what is property. You understand what is property. Then what is intellectual property? What is the difference between intellectual property and the normal property? See, intellectual property means it is a creation of human mind. Intellectual property is considered as one kind of incorporeal property, and it is a creation of human mind. See, man uses his mind sorry, or intellectual efforts to create intellectual property. That's why it is called as an intellectual property. See, man uses his mind. Man uses his creativity to create. See, keep in mind, to create this type of property. That's why it is called as an intellectual property rights. See, like other property, intellectual property does not exist or does not exist in nature. Like a fish in the pond, elephant in the forest, birds in the sky. It is to be created. How it is to be created? It is to be created by using his intellectual efforts. So that's why this property is known as intellectual property, and it is one kind of incorporeal property which cannot be seen or which cannot be touched. It is a rights. These rights are considered as intellectual property. Intellectual. See, the word itself indicates that it involves human brain. It is the creation of human brain, or it is a creation of mind. That's why it is called as intellectual property. See, there are different kinds of intellectual property rights. See, the law protects the creator of new property, the creator of intellectual property, in the form of granting various rights to the creator. Then what are the various kinds of intellectual property? There are different kinds of intellectual property. The nature of these properties are different. That's why there is a separate law and separate rights for every intellectual creativity. See, number one, first kind of intellectual property is that patent. See, I'm not going to discuss all these aspects in detail. So I just bring to notice that there are different kinds of properties, intellectual properties. That is, number one, patent, copyright, geographical indication, design, protection of plant varieties and farmers' rights, integrated circuits, trade secret, and last one is, on which I am going to discuss in detail today, is that a trademark. See, my topic is, my topic is law relating to trademark in India. See, we are on the point now. See, before knowing what is the law relating to trademark in India, and before we know or understand what is the trademark, let me tell you why this trademark is very important. Why trademark is considered as a valuable property, why it is considered as one kind of intellectual property. See, trademark plays an important role in business. See, a consumer is duped if he buys a commodity presuming it to have originated from particular identified source, when it is not produced by such particular identified source. Later, if the consumer finds the commodity or the product is substandard, in this process, the reputation or interest of the producer suffers, as it is originated from him, as it is produced by him. So, to protect the interest of both the consumers as well as the producers of goods or services, a definite symbol will be attached on a product or on a goods to indicate that this product has been originated or has been produced by particular person or particular company. So this symbol or this mark indicates the source of origin, source or origin of the goods from whom this product has been produced. So just to indicate the goods source of origin, a definite symbol will be attached to the goods. That symbol is called as a trademark. See, without trademark, we cannot identify the source of or the company of a product. See, if you look at the car at the outset without looking at the trademark, you cannot say that this is the product of this company. You will go and see back of the car or front of the car, which company's production it is. Then you will come to know that this is this company, this is Jaguar company, this is another company product. So just to indicate the source of origin or source or origin of the product, trademark will be applied on your goods. So that's why trademark is very essential, and it plays an important role in the business. Then what is trademark? See, as I told you, trademark is a visual symbol. See, it is a visual symbol attached to the goods to indicate to the consumer or the purchasing public that they are manufactured or otherwise dealt in by a particular person, and they are distinguished from those of others goods or services. So in other words, trademark is a visual representation attached to goods for the purpose of indicating their trade origin. See, for the purpose of indicate the trade origin or distinguishing one's goods from those of others, a definite symbol will be attached to the goods. Our representation will be, visual representation will be attached to the goods. That representation or that visual symbol is called as a trademark. So you can see on the screen, there are different types of trademarks. See, on every product, you can see trademark. On each and every product, there will be a trademark. See, R means registered trademark. So you can see the R means registered trademark. See, these are all the different kinds of trademark. Then what is the law relating to trademark? Before we know what is the definition of trademark and mark, let us know what is the law relating to trademark in India. See, the first law relating to trademark in India was passed in the year 1958, that is Trade and Mercantile Marks Act. See, this act was amended several times, and it served its purpose for about 4 decades. See, after enactment of this act, there were tremendous changes in various aspects. For these reasons, there was need for enactment of a comprehensive law which can easily or which can effectively protect the existing trademark. Due to various reasons, this act was to be repealed. So what are those reasons which resulted in the repealing of this act is that, see, number one, in view of developments in trading and commercial practice. See, there was developments in trading and commercial practices after enactment of this act. And there was also increasing in globalization of trade and industry. Number 3, to encourage the investment flows and transfer of technology. Number 4, to specify and harmonize the trademark management. There was a need for enactment of a comprehensive law which can effectively protect a trademark in India. That's why Indian government brought out new act, that is Trademark Act 1999. It was passed by the Indian government in the year 1999. Presently, we are following this act. See, Trade and Mercantile Marks Act was repealed, and in that place, Trademark Act 1999 was brought into force. Then what are the objectives of this Trademark Act 1999? See, number one, see, objectives of this Trademark Act 1999 is to protect the interest of the producers. See, that is the main object of this Trademark Act 1999. The second one, effective protection of trademark. See, as I told you, this is one of the reasons for the bringing Trademark Act 1999. See, Trade and Mercantile Marks Act was passed in the year 1958. There was tremendous changes in various aspects, and there was need for enactment of a separate law which can effectively protect the trademark. So that is one of the objectives of this Trademark Act 1999. The next one, simplify the procedure of registration. See, before this act, 1999 Act came to be existence, there was a complexity in registration of trademark. So this act came to be existence with the objectives of just to simplify the procedure of registration of trademark. And last objectives of this act is that to prohibit the use of registered trademark by third person. See, this trademark prohibit the use of trademark by third person. That means third person other than the owner or proprietor of the trademark cannot use this trademark without license or consent from the proprietor of trademark. So it prohibits the third person from utilizing or from using a registered trademark. With all these objectives, this Trademark Act came to be existence. See, this Trademark Act 1999 defined the term mark and trademark. See, we have to understand both what is mark and what is trademark. See, mark means, according to section 21M of Trademark Act 1999, mark includes, see, it has not defined what is mark. It says that trademark includes a device, brand, heading, label, ticket, name, signature, word, letter, shape of goods, packing, or combination of colors, numeral shape of goods, packing, combination of colors, again, or combination of thereof is called as mark. See, trademark may be in any one of these form or combination of one or more form. See, you can see the different types of trademark here. It may be in the form of device, brand, heading, label, ticket, numbers, signature, name, etc., or combination of colors, packing. It may be any of these forms. Then what is trademark? Section 21ZB of Trademark Act 1999 defines the term trademark. See, trademark means a mark, see, a mark capable of being represented graphically and which is capable of distinguishing the goods or service of one person from those of others, and may include shape of the goods, their packing, and combination of colors. That is what trademark. See, you can see three aspects in this trademark definition. Trademark is a mark. It may be in the form of mark or symbol, or it may be in the form of representation. Capable of being represented graphically. See, it should be capable of being represented graphically. If it is not capable of being represented graphically, that means it should be visible. It should be capable of represented graphically. If it is not capable of being represented graphically, then it cannot be registered as a trademark. And that trademark should be capable of distinguishing the goods or services. See, there are two aspects, goods or services. See, that mark should be capable of distinguishing the goods of services of one person from those of others. That means it should be capable, that means it should be distinctive in character. If it is not distinctive in character, then it is not capable of distinguishing one goods with that of others. You can see there will be a same kind of trademark which tries to deceive the public. See, if there are same kinds of trademark are deceptively similar, then such marks are capable for registration. So for registration, that mark should be capable of distinguishing goods or service of one person from those of others. So that may be in the form of shape, goods, shape of goods, or label, ticket, name, signature, in any of these forms. That is what the trademark. Then let me go further. Usually the mark fall into 4 categories of marks. See, before we go for registration of our trademark, we have to understand what are the categories of trademark, which trademark is better, which trademark is considered as a good trademark for registration, or strong trademark, which we can effectively protect. See, the marks fall into 4 categories. Number 1, fanciful or arbitrary. Number 2, suggestive. Number 3, descriptive. Number 4, generic. These are the different categories of marks. See, I am telling you categories of marks, not I am telling you the kinds of different kinds of trademark. I am telling you categories of mark in which marks fall into actually 4 categories. Number 1, fanciful or arbitrary. See, fanciful or arbitrary marks are considered as the strongest marks of which you can effectively protect your trademark. See, fanciful, what is fanciful marks? See, fanciful marks are invented words. See, all great, the trademarks are considered, are the invented words. See, if a trademark is invented words, then that is called as a fanciful mark. Then such trademark is considered as a strongest trademark. See, the invented words with no dictionary or other meaning. See, if you see this meaning for these invented words, that is Nokia, Oneida, Samsung, or some other invented words, if you see the dictionary, you cannot find what is the meaning of these words. Can you tell me what is the Nokia? What is the meaning of the dictionary meaning of Nokia? What is the dictionary meaning of some other invented words? No, you cannot say. They are the invented words. See, that's why invented words are considered as a strongest marks and arbitrary marks. See, arbitrary marks are not invented words. See, arbitrary marks are actual words with a known meaning that have no association or relationship with goods protected. They have actual words, but they have no meaning or no connection or no relationship with the goods on which the trademark is applied. They are called as arbitrary marks. See, for fanciful marks, you can see the Oneida, Rin. See, if you see the dictionary meaning of these words, you cannot, because they are the invented words. Likewise, arbitrary marks. See, banana for tires. See, banana is an actual word. This banana used for a tires, then that is called as a arbitrary marks. So that is the first category of mark on which the trademark, mark fall into. Second one, suggestive. See, suggestive marks also considered as a strong mark. You can choose your mark, a suggestive mark. But suggestive mark should not describe qualities or connections to the goods or services. They are called as suggestive marks. See, suggestive marks can be registered as a trademark. See, A1. A1 it suggests the quality of the product. A1, A1. See, they are called as a suggestive mark, which suggest. They are rendering service. They are not producing or they are not selling the products. They are rendering service. They are providing certain services like transport, KPTCL, LIC. They own the marks. Those marks are called as a service marks. You can see the Google. See, Google provides certain services through online. See, State Bank of India. State Bank of India provides certain services, bank services. See, they have their own the mark that is called as a service mark. The second type of mark is a collective mark. See, collective mark will be used by a group of company or group of person to distinguishing their goods or services from those of others or from those of other group of person. That is called as a collective mark. And it is collectively held by a group of persons. Those group of persons can utilize or can use this trademark that is called as a collective mark. Collectively held by a group of persons. You can see Reliance Communication. See, Reliance Communication is a collective trademark or collective mark. It can be used by Anil Dhirubhai Ambani groups. And these groups can use this trademark that is called as a collective trademark. Likewise, Tata Sons. Tata trademark can be used by a Tata Sons. It can be used by a group of person. That's why it is called as a collective trademark. There is one more type of trademark, that is mark, that is certification mark. You have seen certification marks on some products which qualify certain qualities. See, certify mark does not indicate the source of origin like a trademark or like service mark. Certification mark does not indicate the source of origin, but the certification mark certifies about the certain qualities or characteristics of the goods. See, it is a sign indicating that goods or services are certified by the owner of sign in terms of origin, material, quality, accuracy, and other characteristics. This mark is called as a certification mark. You can see ISI, you can see ISO, you can see UG mark, Allmark. So these are all called as a certification mark, which certifies regarding the quality or characteristics of the goods. Another type of trademark is that pattern mark, pattern trademark. See, pattern can also be registered as a trademark, which provides some inputs to the business. See, when pattern is able to distinguish the products from those of others. See, these are the marks consisting of patterns, which is capable of identifying the goods or service originating from a particular undertaking, and thus distinguishing it from those of other undertaking. Such goods or services are registrable as a pattern trademark. You can see these pattern mark can be registered. See, pattern mark is used in a bag, even slippers. These pattern can be registered as a trademark. The next one, sound trademark. Can sound be registered as a trademark? Of course. If it is capable of being represented graphically, as it is stated in Trademark Act 1999, sound trademark can also be registered. See, sometimes the sound plays in the advertisement becomes so well known that when people hear it, they immediately know what the product it is or the service it refers to. So such trademark, sound trademark can also be registered. You can see the MGM trademark, where certain sounds will be played before play of video or before play of cinema. See, this trademark is a registered trademark. It is a sound trademark. Apart from this trademark, there are certain trademarks also there. Smell trademark. Smell also can be registered as a trademark. Then textile. Textile marks also can be registered as a trademark. Textile, they are called as a textile marks. Example, you can say Sierrams, Raymonds, and etc. These are the different kinds of trademark. Then what is the function of the trademark? What is the function of a trademark? Why it is trademark is important? See, the trademark performs the following functions. Number one, it identifies the product and its origin. Definitely, if you see the trademark, definitely it identifies or indicate what product it is. See, if you see the trademark of a well-known car company, you can say this trademark is related to car. So it identifies the products and also its origin. It indicates the origin of the goods or it indicates the origin of the product. See, if you see yes trademark, that is Swift trademark, you can say it is produced by the Swift company. If you see Honda trademark, you can say that it is produced by Honda company. So it identifies the product as well as its origin. That is the function of the trademark. That's why trademark is important, which indicates the product and also the origin of the product, whereby the interest of both consumers and the producers can be protected. The second one, it guarantees its quality. Definitely, a particular trademark guarantee about the quality of the products. See, if you want to buy certain products, you will see which company's product it is. See, if you go for a mobile, you can you will see Nokia. Nokia company is best company. Definitely quality, in terms of quality, they are best. Samsung, definitely they are qualitative product. So it guarantees for quality of its goods. See, the quality of tea sold in pack marked Brook Bond tea would be similar, but different from tea label with the trademark Taj Mahal. So the trademark guarantees its quality. Then the third one, it advertises the products. See, wherever the product it goes, definitely there the trademark advertises the product, its product. Last one, it creates an image of the products in the minds of the public. Definitely, if you hear the trademark, definitely their image comes to your mind. See, if I say Vanida, an image of TV comes to my mind. If I say Lux, an image of soap comes to my mind. So these are the functions of this trademark. For these reasons, trademark is essential on every product. Then what marks are considered as a good trademark? To be a registrable trademarks, what requisites has to be fulfilled? See, a mark to be a registrable trademark, it must fulfill following conditions. Then such trademark is considered as a good trademark, and such trademark is capable for registration. Number one, requisites of a trademark or condition for registration of the trademark. See, if I want to register my trademark, then it should satisfy these conditions. Then only a trademark is registrable trademark. Number one, distinctiveness. See, a trademark to be a registrable trademark, it should be distinctive. Distinctive means, what is distinctive? That means it should be distinctive with that of already registered trademark. That means it should not be deceptively similar with that of already registered trademark. Distinctive, that means unique. If it is distinctive and capable of distinguishing the goods or services from those of others, and if it is not deceptively similar with that of already registered trademark, I come to what is deceptively similar later. Then such trademark are considered as a registrable trademark. That is the first condition for registration of trademark. The second one, see, if the trademarks are invented words, preferably they are considered as a good trademark. So usually all good trademarks are the invented words. So to be a registrable trademark, preferably, I'm telling it is not must, preferably it should be invented words. The third one, if the trademark is a word or name, if the trademark in the form of word or name, it should be easy to pronounce and remember. If it is not easy to pronounce and remember, then such trademarks are not good trademark. See, it should be easy to spell out, or easy to pronounce, or it is easy to remember. Then only such trademark is considered as a good trademark. Then next one, fourth one, it must be easy to spell correctly, write legibly. If it is not easy to spell correctly or write legibly, legibly means which can be visible to the eyes. If it is not legible, or if it is not capable of spelling correctly, then such trademark is not a registrable trademark. Next one, a trademark to be a good trademark, it should not be descriptive. See, it should not describe the characteristics of the goods, but it may be suggestive in nature. It may suggest the characteristics of the goods. See, A1, what is suggest? The goods are good quality, A1, but it should not describe. See, if it is in the form of descriptive, then you are unable to protect your trademark effectively. Next one, it should be short. It should be very short. See, for instance, tick, flex, ben, rin, lux, 7-up. See, all these words are very, very short. If it is short, then we can easily remember, and we can easily pronounce, and it should be invented words. It should be appeal to the eyes as well as ear. It should be visible. It should be appeal to the eyes. Or if it is a sound, it should be ear to the eyes. If it is not ear to the if it is not ear to the, or if it is not visible to the eyes, then such trademarks are not considered as a good trademark. Then last one, it should not belong to the class of marks prohibited for registration. See, Trademark Act 1999 given the list of marks which are prohibited from registration of trademark, for trademark. See, it should not belong to those categories of trademark. See, under Emblems and Names Act 1950, certain emblems on names are prohibited from using as a trademark. See those emblems, you can see the emblems of these emblems cannot be registered as a trademark. See, these are the requisites of a good trademark. Then let us move further. See, what we understand what is property, what is intellectual property, what are the different kinds of property, what is trademark, and we understood what is good trademark also, what are the conditions or what are the essential for a registration of trademark. Then we have to register our trademark. Where we can register our trademark? See, there is an authority established under this act, Trademark Act 1999. That authority is called as a trademark registry. See, trademark registry or office has been established by the central government, and section 5 and 6 of Trademark Act 1999 speaks about establishment of trademark registry for the purpose of registration of trademark and for the purpose of protection of trademark. As a result of this act, trademark registry has been established by the central government, and trademark head office is in Bombay, and it has the branch offices in Delhi, Chennai, and Kolkata. See, by filing application before this trademark registry, you can register your trademark. See, who are all the officers in the trademark registry? There will be a registrar, there will be a joint registrar, there will be a deputy registrar, assistant registrar, examiners, and clerical staffs. These are all the officers of the trademark registry. See, if you want to file application for registration of your trademark, you have to file before the registrar of trademark registry. See, as I told you, the main office is in Bombay, and there are 4 branch offices in Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata, and Ahmedabad. Now we came to know where is the office. Then what is the procedure for registration of trademark? We have to understand what is the procedure for registration of trademark. See, section 18 to 26 of Trademark Act 1999 deals about the procedure for registration of trademark. See, number 1, in case of procedure for registration of trademark, let us tell you who can file application for registration of trademark. See, the proprietor of trademark, or who claims to be the proprietor of trademark, used or proposed to be used, see, I'm telling used or proposed to be used, can file application before the trademark registry for registration of your trademark in his name, or in the name of corporation, or in the name of partnership, or in the name of government. See, a person who claims to be the proprietor of trademark can make application before the registry for registration of trademark. See, application for registration of trademark should be filed in the prescribed form. That is form number 1 before the trademark registry, before the registrar. See, after application has been filed with a prescribed fee, prescribed form before the registrar, then what is the next procedure is that examination. The second procedure of registration of trademark is that examination. See, after receiving application for registration of trademark, the registrar send that application to the examiners for the examination of application to see whether trademark is capable for registration or not. Whether application has been fulfilled all the conditions as laid down in Trademark Act 1999 and rules. After examining the application by the examiners send report to the registrar whether this application is capable for registration or not. See, after receiving this application, the report of application, the registrar advertise the next procedure is that advertise the application in the official gazette, advertisement of application. See, after receipt of application, the application will be advertised in the official gazette. To call for opposition. See, if it is advertised in the official gazette, the next procedure is that opposition. After advertisement of application in the official gazette, any interested person, keep in mind, any interested person may file objection for registration of trademark. See, within 3 months plus, which can be extended further 1 month, within 4 months from the date of advertisement of application, receipt of application for registration, any interested person can make application or may file opposition or objection not to register a trademark on various grounds. If it is not on various grounds, any interested person can make application or may oppose registration of the trademark. That is, it is not distinctive, it is not similar, it is deceptive in character. On these grounds, any interested person can oppose the registration of trademark. See, if interested person file opposition for registration of trademark, then registrar has to send notice of opposition to the applicant. That opposition has been filed by so and so person not to register your trademark. See, the applicant, after receipt of opposition notice, within 2 months from the date of receipt of opposition notice, he has to file counter statement. If he is unable to file counter statement, then application has been deemed to have been abandoned. If he files the counter statement to the objections filed by any interested person, then the next procedure is hearing. See, the registrar has to serve notice to both the parties. Number 1, applicant. Number 2, opposition party. After serving a notice to both the parties, he has to hear both the parties. And after hearing both the parties, after verifying all the records, the registrar may take appropriate decisions, either to allow application or not to allow application for registration of trademark. If it is allowed, opposition filed by other party is not true, then what is the next procedure is that registration. Your application for registration will be accepted and your trademark will be registered in the registered book. After registration of trademark, certification of registration of trademark will be provided to the applicant or the proprietor of trademark. The last procedure is the duration of trademark is 10 years. And it can be renewed from time to time. See, this is the procedure for registration of trademark. Then what are the rights conferred by registration? See, after you register your trademark, you will get certain rights, exclusive rights, where you can only exercise. That means first right is that right to use. You can use or you can apply your trademark on product. Second one, right to sue for infringement. See, if any third person use your trademark without your permission, without your license, then you can file case against such person or such infringer before the court. See, if your trademark is not registered, then you cannot file case against third person for infringing or using your trademark. So that's why trademark registration is essential. Next, you can assign, you can transfer, or you can assign your trademark to third person, like our movable and immovable property. You can also transfer your trademark to third person. Next one, right to get trademark altered. See, after registration of trademark, you can alter your trademark at any time. That's your right. But it should be it should not be deceptively similar that of your rights. You are with that of other trademark. See, that is what the registration and rights conferred by registration. Now let me tell you the protection guaranteed by the Trademark Act 1999 for regarding the trademark. See, Trademark Act 1999 protects the interest of a registered proprietor of registered trademark. That means it prohibits the use of trademark by others other than the proprietor of trademark. Now let me tell you what is infringement of trademark. See, infringement of trademark means if a person other than the proprietor of registered trademark, if a person other than the registered proprietor of a trademark does any of the following acts, that amounts to infringement of trademark according to Trademark Act 1999. Number one, use of the same mark. Use of the same mark, same mark by other person other than the proprietor of the registered trademark without his license or consent, then that amounts to infringement of trademark, which is punishable under this act. Use of the trademark by other person without the consent or license from the owner, that amounts to infringement of trademark. See, use of the same mark by third person amounts to infringement of trademark. The second one, use of deceptively similar mark. Use of deceptively similar mark by other person other than the registered proprietor without his license amounts to infringement of trademark. Then what is deceptively similar mark? Which mark is called as a deceptively similar mark? See, section 2H of Trademark Act 1999 defines what is deceptively similar mark. A mark shall be deemed to be deceptively similar to another mark if it is so nearly resembles that other mark has to be likely to deceive or cause confusion. If the mark is in the form of deceiving the public, or if the mark is in the form of cause confusion to the public, then such trademark is called as a deceptively similar mark. Deceptively similar mark. Then use of deceptively similar marks is also considered as infringement of trademark or infringement of rights of registered proprietor. See, you can see there is a deceptively similar marks is here. See, McDonald's. McDonald's is a original trademark. McDowell's. See, there is a, can you see this? There is a similarity between these two trademarks. Of course, there is a similarity. See, this trademark is considered as a deceptively similar mark. It is not capable for registration because it deceives the public. Definitely, if you see this trademark, you will consider, you will come to know that this is McDonald's product. Then you will buy. But the product of this, the quality of this product, quality of this product is different. Then in such cases, the consumer will be duped. So this trademark is considered a deceptively similar mark. Likewise, Puma, you can see the Puma is original, Coma is a deceptively similar mark. Likewise, Nike is a original, Nuke is a deceptively similar mark. See, this trademark, these two trademark cause confusions in the minds of the consumers. They understand, they come to know that this is the product of Nike company. This is the product of Coma. This is product of McDowell. And they will buy the product by paying high price. But quality of these two products are different. So they will be duped. They will be deceived. So that's why there is a trademark should not be deceptively similar to that of other mark. See, there are various case laws on deceptively similarity of the trademark. Still, in case of Lakme Limited versus Subhash Trading, see, Lakme on cosmetic products, it is a registered trademark. Defendant started to use Lakme trademark on same the products, that is a cosmetic products. See, Lakme. There is a similarity. There is similarity between these two trademarks. Definitely, it causes confusions in the minds of the consumers. So, this Lakme, the defendant was restrained from using this trademark, Lakme trademark. Then there are other cases, Mahindra Paper Mills Limited versus Mahindra and Mahindra. See, Mahindra and Mahindra, there is a only one difference, E and I. There is a similarity between these two trademarks. See, Mahindra was considered as a deceptively similar mark. Next one, Colgate, Collegiate. See, they are deceptive, and Collegiate is a deceptively similar mark. See, in this, Lakme, Collegiate is a deceptively similar mark. If it is a deceptively similar mark, then that is not registrable trademark. See, deceptively similar can be in two ways. That is phonetic similarity. Then the second one is visual similarity. What is phonetic similarity? See, if you pronounce these two trademarks, they sound similarly. T-marky. See, sounds are similar. They are called as phonetic similarity. But visually, they are not similar. T-marky is not, visually, they are not similar. This is different, this is different. But if you sound, phonetically, they are similar. This is called as a deceptively similar mark. Then, second similarity, that is visual similarity. Sometimes they are visually also similar. Not only phonetically similar, they are visually also similar. See, T-marky. They are visually and phonetically they are similar. So, what I would like to say that if trademark is deceptively similar, then such trademark is not a registrable trademark. See, regarding considering whether mark is a deceptively similar or mark, there are certain factors to be need to be taken into consideration. Degree of resemblance, nature of goods, class of purchasers, their level of education, mode of purchase, etc. So, number one, use of trademark is considered as by third person is a infringement of trademark. Number two, use of deceptively trademark is considered as a infringement of trademark. Third one, affix. See, if a third person affix a registered trademark goods, a registered trademark of a goods or services, such act is also considered as an infringement of trademark. Next one, offer for sale. See, if a person offer for sale goods which is bearing unauthorized trademark, then that is also infringement of trademark. Expose for sale of goods or services which is bearing unauthorized trademark is also infringement of trademark. Expose for goods for sale. Expose goods for sale is also considered as a infringement of trademark. See, if a person expose goods on which a trademark is applied unauthorizedly, then exposing of goods for service, goods or services also considered as infringements. Then exports of such goods, imports of such goods is also considered as infringement of trademark. Last one, use of trademark on a business paper or in advertisement. Use of trademark on a business paper or in advertisement is also considered as a infringement of trademark. That is infringement of trademark. Then, if there is infringement of trademark, the proprietor can take action against the infringer. So let me discuss action for infringement of trademark. See, the proprietor of a registered trademark can file case before the court for infringement of his trademark against the defendant. See, where he can file? He can file case before the district court, not inferior to district court. He can file case against the infringer for infringing his rights. Who can file case against the infringer? That means the owner or his legal representatives or assignee can file case before the court for infringement of his rights. Then what are the remedies available for infringement of trademark? Or what are the remedies the proprietor of registered trademark can seek? See, there are two types of remedies are available to the proprietor of registered trademark in case there is an infringement of trademark. Number one, civil remedies. Number two, criminal remedies. These two remedies can be sought by proprietor of registered trademark in case there is an infringement of trademark. See, civil remedies includes, or civil remedies can be classified into two ways. One is injunction. Second one is damages or account of profit. See, you can file application before the civil court for injunction, prohibiting the defendant from committing further act. You can seek injunction. See, injunction can be classified into further two groups. One is a temporary injunction and permanent injunction. See, injunction is an order of the court preventing the defendant from continuing further act is called as injunction. That may be a temporary injunction or permanent injunction. In case of temporary injunction, he has to fulfill certain conditions. So that is the first remedy available in case of infringement of trademark. The second one, damages or account of profit. Apart from injunction, he can also claim damages. Damages caused due to infringement of trademark by a defendant can be claimed by the plaintiff before the court. Or that means damages means he can claim the consideration for loss suffered by him due to infringement, or account of profit. He can also claim account of profit earned by the defendant by way of infringing the trademark. These are the civil remedies available in case of infringement of trademark. The second one is the criminal remedies. See, apart from civil remedies, he can also file criminal case against the infringer of registered trademark. See, section 101 and 102 of Trademark Act defines certain acts are considered as offenses under this act. See, following acts considered as offenses under this act. See, falsifying a trademark. If a third person falsifies trademark, then that is a offense under this act. Falsely applying a trademark. If a person falsely apply a trademark to a goods or services, then that is called as falsely applying a trademark, that is an offense. Then apply false trade descriptions. apply false indication of the country of origin, falsely representing a trademark as registered, though it is not registered. If you have represented as it is registered, then that is of offense under this act. Then last one, possessing instruments for falsifying trademark. If you are possessing certain instruments for falsifying a trademark or machines, plates, example, machines, plates, if you have in possession of those instrument, then also it is considered as an offense under this Trademark Act 1999. See, for these offenses, there is a punishment which can be punished 6 months up to 3 years, or fine 50,000 to 2 lakhs rupees fine can be imposed to the infringer. So we understood what is the good trademark, what is the procedure of registration of trademark, what is the what trademark are considered as good trademark. Then we can see where is the office. Let me see the registration fee. See, registration fee, there is a separate registration fee for application, for publication, for renewal, for search for belated renewal, restoration, and application for rectification. You can see on the PPT, there is a different fee for registration of the application for registration of trademark. See, usually the application for registration of trademark is 4,000. That is the fee. You can register yourself, or you can register your trademark through attorney. If you go with the attorney, then you charge more. See, these are the fees for registration of your trademark. Then you can see the different types of trademark, like shape can also be registered as trademark, name, Coca-Cola, slogan, symbol, color, logo types, etc. Trademark can be any of these forms or combination of one or more of these forms. You can see the different types of the trademark here. With this, I would conclude that for effective protection of your trademark should be registered. But even an unregistered trademark also can also be protected. But registered trademark can be more protected. So with this, I would conclude my talks on trademark, law related to trademark in India. Once again, I would like to express thanks to organizers for providing me an opportunity to share my thoughts on the law relating to trademark in India. Thank you, madam.
Many thanks for your time. Now I request Ms. Monisha M, Assistant Professor, Soundarya College of Law, to render the vote of thanks.
Showing gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful things we can do for each other. A very good morning to all. First and foremost, my heartfelt thanks to our management for permitting us to organize this webinar on the topic Law Relating to Trademark in India. I would like to thank our resource person, Dr. Karyana KS, Assistant Professor, Saraswati Law College, Chitradurga, for accepting our invitation and for being with us this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Next, my sincere thanks to our beloved principal, Dr. Jayashree RS, for coming up with such a wonderful resource person and extending her support always. Thank you, ma'am. I would also like to thank the moderator of the session, Ms. Claudia Nath, Assistant Professor, Soundarya College of Law, for making this webinar a great success. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank our technical team, Mr. Guru Prasad, Mr. Prasad, IT Department, Mr. Kaushik, Assistant Professor, Soundarya Institution of Management and Science, for their helping hands in running this webinar. Thank you, sir. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for their active participation in this webinar. Thank you, one and all. Over to Claudia, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Monisha. I thank all the participants sincerely for staying, live. Those who had to leave because some of you are working, we will ensure that The recorded video reaches all of you. Kindly fill in the feedback form so that you get your certificate. So again, we thank you, sir. We will get in touch with you for more fruitful sessions like this. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for your time. Thank you all. We will come up with more webinars in the days to come. Please stay in touch with us. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, madam.